All right, at the start with my sweetie. There's a bunch of people here. We're in the 8:10 departure group, so a lot of people have already left the area. So I think 8:50 is going out now. I have about 20 minutes before I start. Windy morning this morning. It's a little bit calm now, but it was windy walking over. Bike's looking mighty heavy. So we're gonna ride around to the trailhead at 8:10 and get this thing going. Woohoo! Oh yeah, there it is. All right, we're off. Beautiful morning. The window that's in town isn't here. Spread out pretty quickly. So I'm by myself. Oh, there's a couple guys in front of me. But beautiful morning, nice and cool. Rain's not expected until tomorrow, so it should be a good day of riding. The trail here is in excellent condition as usual. Canada does a really good job, or at least Banff does. Feeling good this morning. Still curious to see how my body's going to handle, you know, the snow, hiking through the snow. Just going to kind of take it a little bit easy, cruise, and have a good first day. Morning. Oh, hey. Still day one. I think I was wrong last time. I think it was only about nine miles out. About 15 miles now. Just a slow climb. I think we go about 2,800 feet elevation gain in about 40 miles. So a lot of little ups and downs, but just beautiful day. Not too cloudy. Sun's coming out. Got a little sweaty on the climb. Yeah, fun descent. All right, let's see. Let's see what I'm seeing. Going down. All right, we're coming up to the marsh area. So a super long wooden bridge across this. Very cool. Thank you. Thanks. Whew. Still day one, about 60-ish miles in, maybe a little over 60. It's after 5. I'm not making it nearly the time that I did in 2019. There's been some really bad mud. Coming down off of Galton Pass, there was a really washed out section, and I went to try to go around it on the shoulder, and that was just a swamp. My leg went down almost to my knee. My front wheel buried itself to the hub. It was not a good thing. So now my feet, both of them, are completely soaked. I think I feel mud in them. So I'm gonna stop at the next stream and take my shoes and socks off and clean them. Whew. Yeah, I'm not sure that I'll even make it to Round Prairie tonight. It's been some hard going today. But that's where I'm at. Just plugging along. Slow and steady, I'll get there eventually. I can't hear you. Give me a minute. Holy cow.
We got a couple photos for you. Yeah, and
All right.
have the coolest screensaver.
Holy man.
Yeah, that was
My feet are frozen.
Yeah, I went the wrong side. I went to the right, and I was right up to here, right
Holy
to my
cow.
knees. And he went the right way, and he rode it.
You rode it?
I rode it.
The whole thing?
Yeah, it was firm. The track I took, it just,
Well,
it was dumb luck. I couldn't see what I was doing.
Mine was riverbed. It was like a washed out riverbed. There was no silt or road left.
I tried at the very beginning of the first section.
I wish I was following you. You picked the right line.
All right, good morning. Day 3, Tour Divide. I'm in Fernie. Had a rough day yesterday. It was Coca Claims pretty much destroyed me. I didn't have any power to get into town, so it took me quite a while. And it was rainy, wet. Coca Claims had some snow passages and a lot of mud. It was just a lot of work. And then there were several water crossings that went all the way to my knees or thighs. Cold snow melt. And so I forgot to charge the battery in my GoPro, so I didn't get very much footage from yesterday. But yeah, it looks like we're in for some rain today, and we'll see how that goes. Bike's holding up okay. Probably better than I am. All right, so day 3, it's looking good. So I stopped at Tim Hortons for breakfast this morning. I was surprised they have a Impossible sausage wrap. It has eggs, but and potatoes. So I had one of those for breakfast with a cup of coffee. And then I got 3 to go, so I'll probably have one mid-morning, mid-afternoon, and then one for dinner tonight. So hopefully that'll keep me fueled up. Oh man, time to climb. So leaving Fernie, we have about a 24-mile climb. Gets up to 5,800? I'm not sure of the elevation, but it's about a 2,400 foot gain in 24 miles, so it shouldn't be horrible. My plan is to take it easy today, try to recover, see how that is. And I'm targeting the Wigwam campground, which is at mile 75. So, have all day to get there. I think I'm definitely going into touring mode. After yesterday, I don't know that I will be able to maintain the 95 mile per day average that's required to stay competitive. But my goal is not time. My goal is to enjoy the ride, see some parts of the ride that I haven't seen, which is quite a bit of it, and take my time, recover where I need to, and just finish it. So that's where my head's at. My legs are back of my right knee is a little sore. That might be from the hike-a-bike. So hopefully I can stay on the bike today. Coco Claims was just so brutal. It's stupid, just stupid. But I'm through that, and that's I think that's the hardest on the route, given the changes in New Mexico with the fire reroutes. So anyway, I'm just going to keep pedaling. Stream has overrun its banks. That wasn't bad. Let's see what this next one's like. It looks pretty deep up there. Not right here, the next one after this. Yeah, fuck. Holy cow. I don't know how deep this is going to be, but I'm going to... Oh, looks like another section up there. Holy cow. My feet are frozen. And another one. Day 4, Tour Divide. I woke up to heavy rain, cold, freezing rain. Laid in bed for a while. And then got packed up. Kind of late start for sure. I checked the weather on my inReach, and it's supposed to rain all day. Around noon or 1, it's going to turn to snow. And then tomorrow it says that they're expecting 6.3 inches of snow. So I really need to get out of the mountains. I think that motivated me to get out of bed and get going. But it's yeah, cold, wet, everything soaked. little bit of snow patch. Oh, I don't know. Oh, another snow patch. This descent is pretty sketchy with the mud and the snow. Yesterday was a bad day. I had the same kind of problem I had in 2019 where I couldn't eat or drink and just dry heaved. So I don't know if I think I'm having a battle with my stomach, mind over stomach. And I have some chest congestion going on and an asthma attack at the top of the hill. That's why I stopped last night. Couldn't breathe. So I don't know if conditions are supposed to be like this all the way through Montana. I gotta tell you, my negative inner critic is really chiming in between the cold weather and the asthma. I just don't know that this is my year. You can see what I'm going through right now. Stupid snow. All right, well, guess I'm walking through this. Oops. Oh, that was hard. So, I don't know, I'm gonna get to Eureka and then give it a day. See how I feel. There's another patch of snow coming up, so I'm gonna walk. But yeah, this has been a brutal year. Every day has been super hard. I mean, way harder than the other years that I've done it, at least. My legs feel strong. It's really my stomach that's the issue, and my breathing. But yeah, we'll see how today goes. I'm planning on taking it slow. I won't get to Eureka until tonight sometime, and my plan is to get a hotel, and then depending on how I feel, how my stomach feels, I might just take a complete rest day just to get my stomach back to normal and you know, recover, because I am drained, completely drained. So anyway, that's it. Start of day 4. I'm gonna get back on the bike now. So just had to go through that, and there's still some ahead of me. Holy cow, this is hard. I don't know what people did here. I'm gonna stop and just scout it out. On the way to the wall, some single track. I probably should turn this on so you can see the streams we had to cross to get here. Right up next to a river that's really full. Yeah. And there it is. All right, well, I'm back in Sholo on the Panorama Trail this morning. Decided to go out for a ride. Figured I'd give you a summary of what happened on the Tour Divide this year. It was my shortest attempt so far. I made it about 240 miles, so about 15-16 miles from the US border on the Canadian side. Disappointing for sure. So a recap of what the ride was like. Day one, they actually changed the format this year into a staggered start. The Parks Canada asked for that change, so riders were leaving in 10-minute intervals. So yeah, day one, left Banff with a group, a small group, and conditions weren't as bad as 2016. There was some mud in places, but it wasn't really that bad. Definitely was carrying the most weight on my bike than in prior years. I had about a little over a gallon of water with me to start, and rode to Bolton Creek, and filled up water there, full 2 gallons, actually 2 gallons, yeah, full 2 gallons. To get me over Coco Claims without filtering was my plan. In 2019, I'd made it to the top of Coco Claims on day one. I was running a little bit behind schedule when I got to Bolton Creek, so I knew that might be out of reach. And then shortly after Bolton Creek, we hit, or actually before Bolton Creek, there was a single track section with a lot of snow, very muddy, a lot of hike-a-bike. That took a long time. That's what put me behind, I think, getting to Bolton Creek so late. And anyway, I refilled bottles. I had some lunch, and then I started riding again. Elk Pass wasn't horrible. There were reports that there was a lot of snow at the top of Elk Pass, and there really wasn't. But there was a lot of mud, and not as bad as 2016. 2016 it had been raining, and it was deep, slick mud. This time the mud was drying, still muddy. So I did do some hike-a-bike through there, and made it about 90 miles. There were a couple guys camped about at mile 85, which is about where I stopped in 2016, and they said that there was a campground at Blue Lake, which was only another 5 miles or so. So I rode over to Blue Lake, and there's probably a group of 10 to 15 people there camped. So I set up camp there as well, and about 90 miles in, so about 16 miles short of the top of Coco Claims, and got to bed fairly early, and got up about 5 a.m. Got packed up, and I was on the road by about 6, and didn't take too long to get to the start of Coco Claims, and rode up the beginning part of that. It was muddy. There were streams that were overflowing. The road going up was definitely just a stream in places that you had to wade through. It wasn't deep. It was over your feet, but not like up your knees or ankles or thighs or anything. In 2019, it took me 3 hours to get to the top. And this year it took me 5 hours. So a lot of rocks to climb over. My bike's heavy. It was heavier than 2019, so it took some more effort. And it took just a long time to get to the top. Then I stopped to use the outhouse at the top there, and met up with a couple guys, and we started riding down together. I had about a gallon of water when I started that morning. Maybe a little less than a gallon. I don't remember exactly, because I did drink some that night and in the morning. And started going down. There was a lot of snow patches to get through, and so there was a lot of hike-a-bike going down Coco Claims. And then there was spots where the streams were just running really fast and deep. A couple thigh deep water crossings, hard to get the bike through. I did stop partway down to filter about a gallon of water, which I figured would be enough to get me into Fernie. But Coco Claims took just about everything out of me getting to the top. I was dead. I was going slow. So the two guys I was with went on ahead. There was one spot where it was steep, and I remembered this from 2019. I didn't remember exactly where it was, but yeah, I should have gotten off before going down that, and actually started smoking my brakes, and finally just kind of fell over to the side. So that was my first crash of the event. Wasn't a high-speed crash. It was a slow speed downhill, and then I hiked down that section, and I got to the bottom, and you get onto a fairly well-maintained dirt road. Started following that, and there were several places where streams were flowing hard enough that they overflowed the drainage, and were going over the road. In places the road had been eroded away. Again, you know, knee-deep water crossings. There were some long sections of just you know, stream going all the way across the road, and that took you know, sometimes you had to walk through that. I was able to ride through one or two of those sections, but yeah, it took a long time to get to Fernie. You know, I got there sometime in the evening. I immediately went to a pizza place and got some baked pasta for dinner, and then went across. My hotel was across the street, and I decided to spend the night there since it was late. And getting into town, my stomach was starting to bother me, and that usually happens when I push it a little bit too hard. So I slept well. I felt really good in the morning, day three, and started to make my way. My goal was to get to the Wigwam campground, which was about 75 miles, I think. Yeah, towards the top of the first climb, I started to suffer. I had stopped in Fernie at a Tim Hortons and got several of their egg and Impossible sausage wraps. Had one for breakfast, had one going up that climb, had another for dinner, and saved the last one for breakfast the next day. So at some point along there, I was starting to have some trouble eating and drinking. You know, I've had that kind of issue in the past, so things weren't going well. And then going up to the top of Galton Pass, it was maybe 5 or 6 in the evening. Not too late. Definitely still, you know, early enough to be riding. But I had an asthma attack going up that hill. And you know, when I have those, I can't catch my breath, and it's pretty difficult. So I took some puffs of my inhaler and found a relatively flat spot to set up camp off the road just a little bit. So I got an early night's sleep, and woke up the next morning, had my Tim Hortons wrap for breakfast, and I think I drank a full 64-ounce bottle of water overnight. So when I woke up in the morning, it was freezing rain falling on the tent. So I actually slept in a little bit. I decided not to get up at the 6 a.m. Or try to leave at 6 a.m. like I had the prior day, 2 days. Then I decided to check there's no cell service there, so I checked my Garmin InReach weather forecast, and it showed that it was pretty much going to rain all morning, and then it was going to turn to snow, and snow all afternoon, and then the following day they were expecting 6 inches of snow. And I don't know if that was in Fernie or, you know, up in the passes, but that definitely got me motivated to pack up camp and get going. So did that. Got down to Wigwam, and down there there were 3 guys that were just leaving when I pulled up. Ken Olson from Chandler was there, Mark Beck, and I don't remember the third guy's name off the top of my head. But they had also been aware of the weather and decided that it would be wiser not to go over Galton Pass with the expected storm, and I agreed with them. So there was another path that went to a small town in Canada. It would have been a longer ride on pavement, but it wouldn't have gotten as high as Galton Pass. So we decided to do that, and we rode for a couple miles down that road and came across a barrier that said that the area was closed due to hazardous conditions. So someone rode ahead and said that the road was really washed out. He thought we might be able to get our bikes around it, but who knows what the conditions would have been past that. The river was absolutely raging, so you know, at some point you have to cross that river. We were concerned that maybe there might be an issue with the bridge, because we didn't know why the area had been closed. So we turned around. There was another potential way to go that would have avoided Galton Pass, but you know, we would have been riding maybe 10 miles and still would have had to cross the river at some point. So we decided that it wasn't worth the risk to ride all that way, only to discover that we had to backtrack. And we knew people had gotten over Galton Pass, so we decided just to stick to the original route. And my stomach was still not doing well. I started to have some dry heaving issues. I wasn't able to eat or drink. So things were definitely going downhill for me on day 4. And we started to make our way towards the wall. Mark was definitely having worse issues than I was. His whole kit got soaked overnight. Rain had gotten into his tent, and you know, all of his clothes, his sleeping bag, everything got just drenched. So he was already suffering a little bit from hypothermia, and we were encouraging him to push his SOS button. And at some point he fell behind us before we got to the wall, and he did actually have somebody else push his SOS button for him because you know, that's a difficult choice to make, but he recognized that he was having some problems. So it was just the 3 of us going to the wall. There was a marsh area that you have to go through. In 2019 there wasn't a whole lot of water. This year it was just flooded. A couple thigh deep, or at least one thigh deep water crossing. You know, pretty much my whole bike was submerged for a while, and then we got to the wall, and it was really slick mud. I started pushing my bike up, and yeah, it was definitely the hardest it's ever been. So the 3 of us decided to take our bags off and carry them up the wall, and then come back and push our bikes up, and we helped each other do that. And then right after the top of the wall there were some down trees, and I'm not talking small down trees, I'm talking big down trees, and we had to lift our bikes over. The first set wasn't too bad. The second set was really challenging to get over. There were large branches that were interfering with wheels, and we were able to do it, but it took a little bit of time. And then started hiking and walking, and my stomach started to turn again. So at this point I became the slow person, holding up the other 2. So they rode on ahead, and I think I was I don't know, about 5 miles from the top of Galton Pass, and we're still dealing with a lot of streams that had overflowed their drainage. And I hit one, and it was relatively deep. And when I came out of that, normally I was wearing wool socks, and my feet would warm up fairly quickly after going through water crossings, and this time they didn't. My feet just were frozen. And I was pushing my bike. I was having trouble pushing my bike because I wasn't eating, so I didn't have a whole lot of energy. And the problem that I was experiencing with cold got worse. My hands started to get really cold, and then I started to feel my core temperature dropping. I just wasn't warming up. I wasn't able to push my bike hard enough to keep my body warm. There were a lot of I was getting higher, so there was a lot of pushing through snow patches, and I knew at the top there was a good 2 miles of just hike a bike through snow. And at this point the rain had started to switch to more of a sleet, and turning to snow. And I think I might have hiked maybe a mile, and I decided, my condition was just getting worse, and I didn't see how I could turn that around. It was I started to feel like my life was in danger. So I pushed my SOS button. First time since I've owned a satellite tracker. I've had them for 15-20 years. Never been in a situation where I felt like I needed to push that button, but I certainly did this time. So communicated with the SOS group, or the the response team, and about maybe half an hour, 45 minutes later, a helicopter showed up. And my first thought was, where the hell are they going to land that thing? Because I was in dense forest on a narrow road with really dense trees on either side. And the helicopter flew by me, went up to a switchback that wasn't too far ahead of me, and they landed that thing on the switchback. It was really, really impressive flying. So I walked my bike up to them, and the nurse started to interview me. Asked me some simple questions. What month was it? Took me 10 or 15 seconds to tour divide. So I'm June. And then she asked me what I had for breakfast, and I could not remember for the life of me what I had for breakfast. I remembered I had some bars that I was carrying, so I said bars, but yeah, no, I had that Tim Hortons wrap for breakfast, but at the time I couldn't remember that at all. They took off my rain jacket and puffy jacket and put a dry jacket on me, and they had one of those heat pads, but it was a big one, like a big chest-sized one, and they put that on me. Put me in the helicopter. The pilot and the person that was sitting in the passenger seat disassembled my bike and put it on the helicopter, which I really appreciate. So bike went back with me, and it was a 15-minute flight back to Fernie. Got on an ambulance so I could be checked out at the hospital, and got there. They took they were monitoring my blood pressure, which was running really high. I think it was 174/90 something when I got there, and then it came down overnight. So blood pressure was really high. They took a blood sample, and they found an issue with my kidneys because of dehydration, and my urea level was really high. So they had me on an IV for fluids, and I went through about 3.5 bags of fluids overnight. They decided to keep me overnight because of the dehydration. And then in the morning, my kidneys had bounced back overnight. My urea level was still high, but they said that should go down as long as I stay hydrated. So that was pretty much the end of my ride. Helicopter ride back to Fernie. Search and rescue picked up I think 15 or 16 people that day. for hypothermia. Some I think 3 or 4 people actually crashed and injured themselves. They actually closed the pass and weren't letting people go up anymore because of the weather. And then I think that also happened in Montana at Red Meadow, because there was a lot of snow there too. Somebody asked me if I was going to continue, and I knew what the weather forecast was, and I knew what the conditions were, and there was no way my wife was going to let me continue after pushing my SOS button because of the weather. So now, you know, it's been a couple weeks since I've been back, and I've had a lot of time to think about, you know, what happened. And if you watched my training videos, the last one I mentioned that I was going to ride without a camelback to try to get the weight off me, and that's what I did. So I had a frame bladder, I had my 2 64-ounce bottles, and I had a 32-ounce bottle that was on my handlebars that was my primary. That's what I was mainly drinking out of. So I think what actually happened was day 2, going up Coco Claims, I just wasn't drinking. You know, I was used to having my camelback hose right there. Stick the hose in my mouth, start sucking, and push my bike while I'm sucking, getting fluids. And you know, stopping to pull the bottle out, you know, I don't think I was really doing that. So I got way behind on my hydration day 2, and that, you know, I just dug myself a hole that I wasn't able to get myself out of. The doctor at the hospital said dehydration will cause the body to lose its ability to thermal regulate. So I think that's what happened to me. I got to a point where the dehydration, you know, hit a crossing point where, you know, I lost the ability to thermal regulate, and hypothermia started to set in. Yeah, that's I think that's what did it to me. So, and I think that's also why I was having problems after Coco Claims, was because I just wasn't drinking enough going up it. At the time I didn't realize it, you know, but in hindsight, that I think that's what did it to me. So I either need to get way more comfortable using a bottle instead of a camelback for drinking, or I need to go back to the camelback and just always have that on my back because I'm used to it. Yeah, if I ever go back to ride in that area, it's going to be when conditions are much better than they were this year. So I think my plan, I don't know if I'll do it later this year or next year, is to go up to Idaho and ride through Wyoming and maybe part of Colorado, you know, just and I might do that supported. My wife might come with me, and you know, just ride my bike and she'll pick me up. And I don't know, I would like to see the rest of the route, but you know, this is the 3rd strike for me on the race, so I don't think I'll do the race again. I know a couple friends are planning on riding in 2024, and you know, I'll consider going with them. And I don't know exactly what they're planning to do, but if it's the GDMBR instead of the Tour Divide, then I might think about it. I'm done with Coco Claims. I'm not going to do that again. It's just stupid. It's just you know, that's just misery. Even in good conditions, it's just a hard push up to get to the top. You aren't riding your bike, and my goal, you know, the goal is to ride, not do a lot of hike a bike. That's unnecessary in my opinion. So back home, the only thing that's lingering for me is some numbness in my feet. Mud had gotten into my shoes and kind of piled up between the ball of my foot and my toes, so they were causing some pressure, and I think that's what caused the numbness between my toes. But otherwise, you know, I'm feeling fine, doing fine, fully recovered from the dehydration, I think. And yeah, live to ride another day. I don't have any regrets for pushing that SOS button. You know, I really think that that had I tried to continue going, I would have, you know, my kidneys, you know, knowing now that I was having kidney issues, that could have led to permanent kidney damage. I don't know. But I also know that my core temperature was dropping, and that you know, that can be really, really bad. So I think I did the right thing, pushing the button. Disappointed with the distance that I went. I know conditions did improve after middle of Montana, and then it was fairly nice the rest of the way. But yeah, I'll still gonna ride my bike, still gonna do some bike packing, still gonna ride part of that route. I might think about the GDMBR at some point, but then it'll be more of a touring pace. I think the other problem that I had was I was trying to push my pace and just you know, put myself into a hole I couldn't get out of. Yeah, that's pretty much it for me, and we'll see you on the next ride.